So with set 2 bans in Spirit Forge and also set 3 just now releasing in China, there is a lot going on with this meta, and all of that can be shaking up the market. So where are things going? How are things looking? And wait, what's this? Spirit Forge boxes are almost at MSRP on TCG Player? What kind of world are we living in? Well, we're going to dive into that world and exactly what that means right now. So the bans are definitely something that we theorized on what was coming, but we didn't necessarily know which direction would they go in. Was Aurora going to be banned? Were we going to see Called Shot and the big bad cards of Miracle being banned on top of that? What was going to actually be taken away? Fight or Flight or Rebuke, or both for that matter? We didn't know. That was the biggest thing. But at the same time, then all of a sudden we take a look and we get that release coming out and it's like, wait, what is this? Oh, yeah. It's actually a lot. So this was interesting because it's kind of like a perfect storm in a lot of ways, where now we're starting to see the set 3 mana or set 3 meta. So there's going to be some people that are already trying to anticipate that, get the cards prepared for that. LeBlanc is looking good. Karthus is going up a little bit. Blue Kaisa, surprisingly, is actually going up a little bit in price too. What's that one? Oh yeah, it's a 6 cost, 1 recycle. It's actually going up in price. I know it actually might be meta relevant in set 3, but that's going to be the biggest thing here is, well, what is all of this now meaning? And is Draven actually dead? That's going to be the interesting part here, because a lot of people are already theorizing, at least price market wise, that Draven might already be dead. Though I don't think that is necessarily the case. We're going to be doing a meta watch video tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be really good for you guys. But in the meantime, it's interesting because it seems like we're making that jump over, where now we're going into, possibly what Rek'Sai can bring, what Aurora can bring. Kai'Sa's back on top. Viktor is potentially one of the top decks, and not only that, yellow is looking incredibly good this next set too, especially with LeBlanc. Blue and yellow are looking incredibly powerful. That's going to be one of the biggest things there. And so it's like, all right, cool, well, let's see what else is going on. Not only that, we had some really big announcements this last week too, which is insane. Flash, for example, that was one of the biggest roller coasters we have seen. That was crazy. Because it immediately, as soon as the bans came up, everyone who was playing Irelia and their dog were just like, oh man, we got to get those flashes, and whoo, shot up to like over $90. And then literally the next day, it was like, oh yeah, by the way, you're going to be able to get flashes at your Nexus Nights for showing up. If you bring a friend and you teach them, then oh yeah, you get another flash. By the way, you're just going to have a lot of flashes. What? Okay, dang. That's kind of interesting. Cool. I'm glad that we're able to get that going. So anyway, and then immediately the market reflooded. It fell right back down to around $30. And it's people now that if they have flash and they don't necessarily need it, they are quick selling it to try to get it to the people who are wanting to play like Irelia and don't have flash yet. So weird kind of stuff happening in this market. And so we're going to take a look at the prices and see what that all is entailing, because guys, it's got to be really interesting. And again, this is going to be telling us where the meta is starting to head. So definitely something to keep an eye on throughout all this. Now, of course, again, this is going to be over the last 7 days, if I set it up correctly. Yep, I did. Good. And so that's going to be the big thing. And again, this is on magicalmeta.inc. So if you want to check out these prices for yourself, always feel free to. Now, here's the interesting part. Draven. We see Draven Glorious now under $100 over in the high value cards. That card at one point was $200. It was right up there with Ezreal, which is really crazy to be able to consider here. Now it's under $100. Very interesting there. Again, though, I don't necessarily think Draven is dead. He still is, I feel like, a good A-tier deck. He lost out a lot on his early game, but his mid to late game is still incredibly powerful. We'll talk about that later. But then on top of that, you saw since Miracle's dead, Sealed Discords are falling under $50 now. That's insane. Flash is at $32. Still kind of an interesting watch there. Dazzling Aurora is back up to $90, even if you want to get the Chinese versions. Chinese versions on TCG Player are still going to be around this price of $90. If you go on eBay, not recommending kind of thing. That's what I did, though. I took that risk. and I got mine for 30. Now they're around 40 on eBay. So that is coming from a person directly from China. It did take about a week and a half to get here, but that still is about the same length of time that some of these TCG sellers have anyway. It's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, with that though, Rek'Sai is one that we are going to be watching too. It's looking like it could be really good. Not only that, in the Runes and Rift tournament, which was set 3, there was a Rek'Sai deck that was running literally all set 2 stuff. That's it. No set 3 stuff. Still ended up getting 7th place. So really interesting to be able to watch that. And then on top of that, with people who are still wanting to play Draven, they're trying to figure out where this is going to go. Do I want to go with the Draven Audacious, or do I want to go with Draven from set 1, which, at least has a little bit more meta relevancy, at least in my opinion. And so it's going to be fun to see where that's going. Also, not only that, Draven Audacious is one to watch because Irelia might be going a bit more on that forefront, going on a bit more of an aggro unit heavy style build now that the card draw just isn't necessarily there. So we're going to be watching how all of this is shifting, and this is why this is just so much fun to watch what's going to be happening and where all of this is going to be evolving. Then on the other side, of course, with Kai'Sa coming in, we got Plundering Poro going up 85%. That's a 13-cent card. Pouty Poro going up to 22% or 22 cents. That's a 100% increase and things like that. So really interesting to see all of this. I gotta say, I love watching this kind of stuff. Then on top of that, we have the top gainers and losers. Now, Aurora is going to be the crazy one for a while. You're going to be seeing, even with like Elder Dragon, Baron Nash, or whatever else is coming out. We also even had like a 5th place Poppy deck that was Aurora built. And that was interesting because it also used all the yellow powerhouse cards that could really help get you in the game too, and then also utilizing the Elder Dragon and other orange monstrosities that are going to be taking over this meta. So Aurora is here to stay. It's interesting though, because especially with decks like Vex, which is very stun heavy, there is purple Vex that is in the champion zone that you can play out to a battlefield, and when you do, you are going to be dealing or you are going to be stunning a unit and they cannot move, period. So already just crazy enough there. And so that already is going to be a good check on Dazzling Aurora, something that we definitely got to be watching for. Really cool stuff, all things considered, to be able to see. Misfortune, of course, is on the climb. Same thing. A lot of people are building Aurora. I do like the Master Yi version a little bit better, just saying. I'm more of a believer of that. I think it has a lot more going for it. And you're relying more on the Mind Splitters to do your dirty work instead of just, having some really good versatility with what you have with Yi. You're still able to ramp up, even if you don't have Aurora, then you're able to play out the Dead Blooms and things like that to really still impact the game, whereas with Aurora, you don't find, with Misfortune, if you don't find Aurora, you're just going to be in trouble. I could talk about that for a while, but we won't. Anyway, with a lot of that, then you're seeing a lot of prices. Heimendinger, a lot of people are starting to get an anticipation. Now, of course, this is going to be a promo card. This is the Judge promotional card, so very interesting to see. Now that's climbed up actually a decent bit. And then Void Rush is one to keep an eye on there. Check your local game stores. Sometimes I check them, especially if they haven't necessarily updated their pricing just yet. Sometimes they're a day or two behind, which is why I sometimes will check the market, then quickly go to my local game store websites. If they haven't updated that stuff and I don't have a playset, I quickly pick those up and see how that goes. Now, likewise, it's mainly all the signature stuff is coming down, back down to reality. And this is going to be interesting, too, because especially with how much of the Spirit Forge boxes that we're actually getting here, it's really interesting to see now that these prices are continuing to plummet, which is a really interesting thing. And so it's just not necessarily there. Now, Teemo Scout, of course, that's a big surprise. It was at one point at $800, now finding itself at around $630. So very interesting to watch there. Then this is one of my favorite things to watch, guys. This is why I mainly come to the website. Bye, I'm going away. The reason why I love this so much is because, again, this is one of the biggest indicators to tell you where this market is going. So, what's the number one cards being bought? Oh, Hidden Blade Call of the Week. A lot of people are touting Viktor being the number one card. Again, like I said, LeBlanc is looking incredibly good in set 3. On top of that, too, we have the Defies, Discipline, Guardian Angels. That goes in so much already. Charm, not so fast. That goes in Aurora. That goes in Irelia. That could also be going in Vex. And it's really interesting that these commons are finding themselves in such interesting predicaments. Karthus, again, very fun to be able to watch him. He is going up now, had a huge increase, 37% increase in the last 7 days. And it's because, he just doubles your death knell. And so I'm going to be curious to see, because if we go into set 3 and Kai'Sa is still a very prominent deck, Karthus might be struggling a little bit. But even with that, we have stuff like Glass Mixologist and a couple other stuff that can bring back these style of cards, which is really good to see. Otherwise, a lot of things are kind of one and the same. We're still seeing a lot of people now going over to Rebukes instead of Fighter Flights. We're running a lot more Rebukes. A lot of people do have the play sets, but like even in Aurelia, they normally were only running one Rebuke. Now that they're lagging on the card draw, they might be trying to run a little bit more. Tide Turner, same thing. It's a great way to be able to select your Aurelia, bring it back to base still readied, switching with Tide Turner, and then being able to attack into the other battlefield. So a lot of people are running a lot more. Ride the Wind in general is also going to be a very much more prevalent card, because you're able to get that movement, that momentum, without having to necessarily worry about what all is coming your way. So very interesting stuff happening in the market, all things considered. Love to be able to see this. And then again, we're taking a look at TCG Player. The best selling, because again, this is another big indicator. Seal of Unity going up to $44 again. Very, very interesting to watch that. This one did have a huge spike a little bit ago, going up to $55. Now, that was back in November. It was the first big spike. This was even before Seal of Discord, for that matter. And I mean, it's a great card, and when you are able to help supplement the power cost that yellow has, and it is a lot of power that yellow ends up utilizing here. Well, in that case, it's really not that big of a deal. We're able to mitigate that. Now, at the same time, there's a lot of Chinese cards around $36. You have to really start scrolling down to get to that point. But then we also have Three Swords TCG at $45 for one. And I mean, you're not even going to be seeing a play set available for sale. Oh my gosh, yeah, you're not going to be seeing a playset for a page or two, but there's a lot at the $40 mark anyway, so it's really not that big of a deal. But $50, and no one's got a playset until about $51, $48 a card with $3, $4 shipping. Kind of crazy there, but that's how it is. And then next, of course, again, we're still seeing the Rasas actually having a high sale value there. Could be going in. I know Diana might be running into that. Some people are still running Rasa. It's still a good card. It is definitely not nearly as efficient with the loss of Called Shot. That's just how it's going to be. But, that's what ends up happening. And Kai'Sa, again, if you guys are still waiting for Kai'Sa to come down in price, it's not, unfortunately. I wish it was. The lowest price that you were going to be able to buy these at was going to be at release, when, I bought the Kai'Sa Survivor Alt Art for $60. And then after that, it just absolutely skyrocketed. Dead Blue Predator might be seeing some meta relevancy again. Very interesting there, especially with Master Yi Aurora. It's going to continue to be utilized in set 2. Next, of course, in set 3. We're going to be seeing some more stuff, potentially with Dead Bloom Predator. It's just a really good card in Aurora. Also, just having the ability to be played out to a battlefield and having Deflect is just such a very powerful asset to utilize. Now, likewise, Time Warp. There's been a couple of Kai'Sa decks that have been doing incredibly well, and Time Warp is interesting because now people are starting to run 3 Time Warps in their Kai'Sa decks. And I totally get that, because especially when you're going against those really hard matchups, that kind of stuff is going to be very difficult to try to get things going. And so that's one to be able to watch out for. Now, there's also a couple of cards that you're able to do that when you discard, like Time Warp, you're able to deal like 10 damage to a unit. That's going to be something very meta relevant for the foreseeable future and all that. Salvage, again, going up to $9. And I mean, that's one to definitely keep an eye on. Again, gear destruction is still going to be so prevalent. And they have a price of, oh, look, hey, $4.80 with $5 of shipping. Come on, guys. Don't do that. And then, of course, again, no play sets available until down here with 9 available. Then you're able to get 3 for, around $30. So kind of crazy that salvage as an uncommon is really starting to climb up in price. And again, we have more Origins coming. But it needs to come sooner rather than later. That's going to be the hardest part, because it's like Origins is still getting way up there. That's going to be the hardest part about this. It's like, well, when are we going to be able to see that relief? We don't want to have to be paying $9, $10 for a popular uncommon. Yes, it's a powerful uncommon, but $10. I mean, that's just a little ridiculous there. And so I'm hoping that we're able to get a lot of Origins packs out. We're able to help bring down that market, because Origins desperately needs it. If we're able to get Origins down to where Spirit Forge is, we're going to be in a really good place for this market. We're going to be rocking and rolling and being able to really get into this game. And I think at that point, that would be about the level that Riot, I'm hoping, is trying to aim for. They have said since the beginning that they want this to be an affordable TCG. And it's like, well, when you have Dazzling Aurora at 90, Time Warp at 90, and yes, those are ultra rare epic cards of awesomeness. But even still, it's like, we don't want to necessarily have those said cards being at, $300 for you to be able to play a playset of. Now, that is the lucky part. Could you imagine if we could fit 4 cards of it in our deck, or we had 60 card decks for that matter? I mean, that would be just absolutely insane on where these prices would be with at least the amount of allocation there. So definitely things to keep in mind. Echo also is going to be one to keep an eye on too. He's finding meta relevancy in set 3 with Unleashed. Just being able to accelerate him. You're able to maybe clear a battlefield, take it over, and then if he dies, or if you sacrifice him with baited hook or something like that, then you immediately get his death knell ability and you get to ready everything back up and call it good. So really awesome to be able to see all of that. Also now Azir is climbing up. Arise is going to be something, and we even had Azir actually win our skirmish this week, and there was a couple that we ended up going to, but Azir was actually getting first at the one I went to, and then we had Draven win the one that had about 30 people at my local game store normally, so very, very interesting to be able to watch a lot of that. And then, of course, like that, Invert Timeline's definitely a really good card, one that a lot of people are supplementing. This is one that I'm starting to run in my Irelia build, for example, just because you're already struggling on card draw. And so it's like, all right, cool. Well, Invert Timelines. I've even done some weird jank stuff to test this out with Fizz, because Fizz can just play out Invert Timelines. So you use Aurelia, you discard your whole hand, you play Invert Timelines, you refill it, your opponent usually has to discard, and normally they get like 1 or 2 card advantage kind of thing, but if they've used Stack Deck or things like that, it can actually hinder them a little bit. And then on top of that, though, then you use Fizz after expending your entire hand again, and then you get 4 more cards. So again, a good combo piece there that I've been really appreciating, because drawing 4 cards for a power, really good right there. And absolutely love that. So again, set is still going up in price. He's been around the $40 mark for a while, so definitely expected there. Then not only that, of course, we have a couple of stuff that is still kind of moving around. Jax has fallen, unfortunately. I was wrong in my video, my tier list video. I thought Jax was still going to be okay, but they really nerfed him, unfortunately. Really sad to see. Ezreal, if you're wanting to pick up some alt arts, now might be the chance. This is one of the lower points that we are going to be seeing here with Ezreal. And him being at $30, really good price right there to be able to watch. We have people that are exploring a lot of other decks, Fiora, Lucian, and other decks to see what really is on top, because we just don't necessarily know. And so really cool to be able to see a lot of this. Darius's are super low in price right now. Dravens, again, are kind of finding their way around, trying to figure things out. Ari has even seen a bit more of popularity. White Flame Protector actually is still at a very stable price, even if you are running a Yi. Aurora, mid-range E is back now that you're actually able to keep up with the card draw. That was the biggest thing, is that there were so many decks that were able to utilize card draw that they just got so far ahead that all of these other decks just ended up falling behind. That was the biggest and most unfortunate part about that. And so everything else, though, is looking really good, and runes are really starting to get lower in price. So maybe if you don't want to necessarily run and, get all the new runes, those runes look so good. But in the meantime, these alt art runes are going to be even lower, and now at $10. And if we get the origins, we could be seeing these at $6-7, maybe even $5 at that point, which would be just absolutely crazy to see. So really like where this market is headed, where it's going, and it's exciting. Again, we just need to continue to watch where this is going to go, and the fact of set 3, again, we have a month until it gets released, almost to the day, actually. May 8th is when Unleashed goes out for English. That's a day after my birthday. Woohoo! So really fun there. And things to keep an eye on. So really like that. I'm going to be going to my local game store to check out Void Rush right after this. I'm going to be picking that up. I have one. I need to pick up 2 more because, yeah, that's going to be a big deal there. So a lot of exciting things to watch on and to continue to anticipate because, guys, yeah, this ban has been an absolute blast to kind of try to rediscover the meta and, not having to worry about fighter flights and stuff like that has really balanced out the meta, I think, for the better here. And it's just been an absolute blast to be able to go to this and seeing new life being given into the meta. I mean, we had so many different decks at our skirmishes. Yes, we had some Dravens and things like that, but we had, every other type of deck at this point. We even had a set end up getting 4th place, which is just really crazy to be able to anticipate there. So a lot of fun stuff to see here. Can't wait to see what else is going to be coming our way. But anyway, with that being said, guys, that is going to be it for now. So let me know, what decks are you going to be exploring in set 2 after the bans and in set 3? Let me know down in the comments below. And until next time, guys, have a good one.